Hey book lovers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mar, and I believe we have made it to Bookmas Day 7, which is a little bit more than halfway left of Bookmas. Bookmas is 12 days, and so for this Bookmas video, I really just wanted to do a video about how I annotate my books. Last year for Christmas, I decided to give away annotated books to my closest friends, and I had a really fun time doing it. So, for people who are looking to sort of figure out a gift for their closest friends or maybe other book lovers, I think annotating, highlighting, writing notes in your favorite books and giving them to friends is such a good gift because it's so personalized. And a lot of the times, I try to pick out books for my friends that really I think they would either enjoy or they remind me of like the main characters or something. So for this video, I just decided I would show you sort of what materials I use and the sort of methods on how I annotate my books as well, and also giving you other ideas for annotating books, whether physical or digital, because I think when it comes to annotating books, a lot of people like to do it in the physical sense where they have a physical book and they highlight everything and write everything down. But I think you can also there's also ways you can do it digitally that look just as good and sometimes I think are even more fun. So I'm going to show you my tips, my tricks, how I annotate my books, and how I get those things set up. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with this video. I'm going to get into the materials that I use first. And for physically annotating your books, I don't think you actually need to use too many materials, and most of these things you can find either at your local supply store, dollar store, or just even Amazon. I get all of mine from Amazon. The first things you're going to need are stickies. So, any sort of tabs or stickies or anything, I just order like a 10 pack from Amazon, and they always come with a range of colors, and you can also like rearrange the specific colors on each of these tabs. So if you want to go with like an entirely purple theme, then you can take tabs off of others, rearrange them, and all that. So, yeah, I just get these from Amazon and I'll link them in the description below for you to see. But I think most people use these tabs. They're just really handy. And when you put them on the pages, they're also like very light and all that. And so, this is like the main thing I would say I would use for annotating, especially when you're just getting started, and especially for people who are maybe afraid to write in their books and all of that. What I used to do is I would just tab like every single moment or like specific moments and specific categories and all of that in my books, and I'll get into that later when I show you the different tips and techniques that I use when I'm annotating. Next materials you need are obviously pens or pencils, something to write in your books or highlight your books with. So for black pens, honestly, for pens, you can use any type of pen that works for you. I just ordered like I think a 20 pack on Amazon of these Japanese pens, and they are 0.35 point. And so any range from like 0.35 to like zero point 0.5 is your best bet when it comes to like using pens and writing in books, because the thinner it is, I think it just looks better. If you're using like a thick pen, a lot of the times it bleeds through the pages, or it makes your writing look really big. Whereas if you use thinner pens, then it's just easier to sort of make it look a bit cleaner and nicer in your books. You can use any like pen though that you like. And then when it comes to actual like colored pens and all that, I like using the Muji pens for color, and I just have a pack of them. These are the 3 or 0.38 sized ones. And again, I like the thinner point for pens because they just look nicer and all of that. So a lot of the times when I'm highlighting or when I'm annotating, I like to find pens that correlate to the tabs I have, and so that's why I really like using colored pens when I'm annotating. And then finally, the last things you'll want are highlighters. So I use the Mr. Pen highlighters from Amazon. I would say these are great for if you want your books to look aesthetic. when it comes to like the actual ink in these, I think sometimes they do run out really quickly. So just keep that in mind. But when it comes to like aesthetically annotating and all that, I really like using these because the highlighter font isn't like super bright. It's not like Sharpie highlighters where it's like neon pink and neon yellow. Like these are more so like markers that don't like bleed through the pages. So those are the main things you need when it comes to annotating. It's mostly just tabs, pens, and highlighters, and then also like a ruler. These come with rulers, so I like using the ones on the tabs. But yeah, those are the main materials you need when it comes to annotating. Now let's get into the different ways you can annotate. And so, especially for people who are just starting to annotate and all that, and you're hesitant on like ruining your paper copies and all of that of your books, the first thing I always do is I just go in and tab. So this is These Violent Delights, and pretty much in this book, I went in and I put the annotation categories in this book. Just put an annotation legend for all of the tabs I kept in this book. So the first one was romance, next category colonialism, next one tension, any tension, and then the next categories are definitely more like specific to the type of book. And that's what I like about annotating is that you can make it more specific to the book. And you don't have to keep your categories the same because every book is different. The next two categories I have are white flowers, so that's one gang in this book, and then the next one is the scarlet gang, and then the next two categories I have are violence and then just like sad, bittersweet moments. And so doing this, I just went in and found quotes and would tab quotes that I thought fit in each category and all of that. So that's the first way you can do it, just using tabs. But I will tell you that if you're just using tabs, you're going to need a lot of them. So if you're going to just do tabs only, I would definitely suggest you order 2 packs of the same colors and all of that for tabs because I learned that the hard way and I ran out of tabs at the get go. And so I needed to add more colors of tabs. When I first started annotating, that's sort of how I did it. I was too scared to write into my favorite books and all that. So I would just tab my favorite quotes or quotes that sort of fit into each category that I have. And then I also did this for books like To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Again, if you've watched videos on my channel before, this is one of my favorite books of like all time. I love this book series, and so I obviously had to go in and annotate it. And since this is a more YA romance, the categories I had were a bit more broad. So I just put cute moments, favorite moments, relatable moments, embarrassing moments, and sad moments. So those are the ones I have for this book at least. And then the next book I also did this annotation style for was Happy Place by Emily Henry. And I went in and tabbed everything in this book. And for this book, I did not write my categories. So I believe it was like I think the categories are like romance, relatable, sad, tension maybe. Going in and rereading it, I think I would be able to sort of pick out what I tabbed everything. That's sort of the first kind of annotation style for if you're just getting into annotating and you want to get used to it, you want to test it out. Just going in and tabbing everything is one sort of way you can annotate without ruining your books. So if you want to go to the next level and annotate your books and write in them and all of that, this section is for you. I did it for the book If You Could See the Sun by Anne Leung. And for this one, I really was a bit more thoughtful in the categories that I had. So I tried not to make them as broad, and I really tried to make the categories a bit more specific. I have a category for the 2 main characters, and then I have one for quotes that I like, another one for the writing, the descriptions that I really like, another one for relatability, and then friends and family, and then romance. And another thing is that I usually like to read the books before I annotate, but there are also some books that if I know it's going to take me a while to get through, or it's like I don't know if I'll be rereading it again, then that's when I will go in and actually annotate it for the first time. So for this book, I actually did annotate it in all one go. And so I'll do a quick flip through of my book, and you can sort of see how I annotate and everything. A lot of the times when it comes to annotating, I do it based off of vibe. I don't really try to overthink the what to underline and all of that. I sometimes there'll be paragraphs that I underline, and then sometimes there'll be like two sentences that I underline. But really, I just focus on sort of the colors, the aesthetics. Me being like a graphic designer and all of that, I'm really used to just spotting things and figuring out what colors to use and all that, and figuring out little like doodles or designs to do for it. So if you want to go for that sort of annotation style, I feel like a lot of it just has to do with experience, and sometimes it's just vibe. So I really, but I really do try, like, I don't really try to make it super aesthetic or anything. I just go based off of what I'm feeling when I annotate. The same thing, I annotated Jade City and all of that. And so I had my own personal categories for this book. So, like, for this book, the categories are just quotes about world building, quotes about Jade, quotes about the main family that the book talks about, then quotes about just clan business, and then other is just anything other that I like, or doesn't pertain to or doesn't fit in any of the other categories. So that's what I put for Jade City, and Jade City is a much longer book. And so this one, I believe, took me a month to annotate because it was really important for me to highlight everything and make this book, look really nice and all that when it comes to annotating. So I feel like with annotating, it's like there's some people who love to add as much content, write in it as much. I'm someone who's not like that. I don't really write in the margins of my books. Unless I have like really funny commentary about a specific situation. The book that I'm currently annotating right now is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. And for this book, I've already read it. And so annotating this has been a bit easier, but also I'm doing something else differently in that I'm actually reading it as a PDF. I'm reading it and annotating it digitally before I do it physically. And that's mostly just due to the fact that I love this book series so much. So I didn't want to have like ugly annotations for this book. So I'm going to show you actually how I digitally annotate my books. When it comes to digitally annotating your books, well, first off, I use my iPad to do it. I have the M1 iPad Air. This is like a couple years old now, but it still works for me. It has the pen, and what I usually do is there's two ways to do it. The first way is to download an EPUB of your book and open it in the Books app, and then you can either screenshot a page, you can do the annotations through the photos or the photo edit option, and then you can also do it in the Books app itself and highlight quotes you like and figure out your categories, because I know the Books app has like its own sort of set highlighter and like notes options and all of that. But what I like to do is I actually like to open up a PDF of the book that I want to read, and I will import that into GoodNotes. And then in GoodNotes, or you can use whatever sort of note taking app you like. And then from there, I just write everything, highlight everything, figure out my annotation categories and all of that. What I like about GoodNotes though is that, like, there's so many ways that you can annotate it. You can write in the margins, you can put in little stickers or like gifs or whatever's in the margins, and have a more creative sort of side to it and all that. And for specifically with Magnolia Parks, I put a lot of different annotation categories for this book series. I think I have at least like 6 or 7 categories. And then I also am able online to put in the different outfits that the characters wear, because one thing about the Magnolia Park series is that Magnolia is a character that it's like she will tell you in specific details what a character is wearing, and it's gone to the point where people have made like Instagram pages and accounts that where they find all of these items and they put it together. And so for me, I decided to put in like the margins of my digital iPad or my digital annotations, like all the pictures of the outfits that each of the characters wear, and then I also like underline sort of the description of the outfits as well. So it's like a really fun way to just digitally annotate and all of that, especially for people who either don't want to write in their physical books or like reading more digitally. I think and doing digital annotations is so fun, And also, yeah, it's like I'm doing my digital annotations before I put it in the physical copy. So, it's like I can see sort of how the annotations will look. I can see what elements I want to put in my physical copy. And so, yeah, like this is a super extra way of doing it. You don't need to do it this much in depth, but annotating for me is like therapy. So it's like I'm willing to put in the time and the work to annotate, copies of books that I just really enjoy and to reread again. And a lot of it is just rereading my favorite books and just finding quotes that I love, finding moments that I love, and just reliving the experience again and highlighting different quotes and all that help me relive that experience. So that's what I really like about digitally and physically annotating books. Also, I'll quickly walk you through the annotation categories I have for Magnolia Parks. The first category I have is quotes about Magnolia. The second one I have is my favorite quotes. Third one is outfits. Fourth one is okay. My favorite character in the Magnolia Park series is Tora Sachs, and she's literally like a minor character, but every single time she's mentioned, I will mark it down. Next category I have is sad, toxic, heartbreak moments. Next category I have funny moments. Then the next one, BJ moments, and then finally we have the box set, which is like the friend group in Magnolia Parks. So that's how I annotate my Magnolia Parks copy. Hopefully, this video helped in a way, or maybe gave you some inspiration and ideas for how you can annotate your copies. What I love about annotating is that it's so personal and individual for everyone. And so the way you annotate a book is going to be different than how someone else annotates it. And so it's a very subjective thing. It's something that it's like you can put your own creativity and style on, and there's no like one right way to annotate. This is just how I annotate and how I set up my books in the categories and all of that. And, I think annotation is just a fun, creative way to just, immerse yourself in reading in a very different way. And I wish I learned how to annotate when I was in school as a student, doing Shakespeare and, English and literary arts and all of that. English was one of my favorite subjects, but I also sucked at writing essays. And so I feel like if I did this when I was younger, I would have just engaged with the material a lot more and actually had a fun time reading it. And so yeah, this is how I annotate my books, and thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you are starting your annotation journey, or if you do similar things when you're annotating these books, or maybe you have different categories in some of these books that I've read. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next Bookmas video. Bye!